Welcome to my Winterween vlog. Yeah, it's technically not day one, like the real day one, but I'm already feeling these books, so I just needed to start early. We are starting with the book that I had already started before the readathon. This is How to Survive Camping: The Man with No Shadow, and this is by Quinn. And I had already read about 50 pages of this. Really quickly, synopsis in case you didn't watch the TBR, don't know why you're here. But it is about a woman named Kate, and she has inherited a campground that is the home of several like inhuman entities. Some of them are like haunting, some of them are creatures, some of them are just like mythological creepy lore type stuff. It is labeled as a campy cozy horror. But yeah, she manages this campground, and it's a normal campground but also houses these things in the woods. And so it's kind of supposed to be a manual from her perspective, where she's talking to you and being like, listen, here are these rules, but also like here are these stories that are telling you why I made these rules and why you really just can't be an idiot. And so I was at the laundromat for a little while, and it was snowing outside, so I might be a little red aside from the rosacea, but I am on page 110 now. And it's interesting because it technically is a linear story, but it almost feels like you could just like drop into it in any of these chapters, because each chapter is like a small story about something that happened at the campground. Before I left, it just got to fall, and so we're starting to see some different like it's leading into like October and Halloween, and how it creates like an even thinner barrier between creepy entities and ancient spirits and the humans, and how they all try to dress as each other. I'm really enjoying it so far. It is the first book in a long time that's making me feel like I actually want to keep a book after I read it. Something that I've gotten into in the last few years has been like, I have no like connection physically to the books. Like once I read a book, I don't think I've kept anything aside from manga since like 2020. There's a part of me that is like, if I don't see it, I just forget it exists. But this is a book that I'm like, I just want to keep it on my shelf to pull from as an example, and like maybe come back to it one day. I don't know if I'm gonna keep reading again tonight. I need to put away laundry and take a shower and eat a lot of food. So we'll see when I see you next. I am heading to the gym soon. So I am gonna be switching to ebook You Weren't Meant to Be Human by Andrew Joseph White, and I haven't read anything of it yet, so I don't know why I'm updating. Mostly just because after the gym, I need to take a shower, and then I'm gonna be hopping on a call with Wheezy because we're gonna buddy read a different horror book that is not part of this. But I don't know when the next time I will actually be able to touch base with you is. You might see some clips where I tell you quietly at the gym, oh god, that sounds embarrassing already, what I have read, because of me reading on the treadmill and on the Stairmaster. So theoretically, you'll get an update quietly when I have read at each of those times. But yeah, I'm hoping this one will be a 5-star read, because queer horror, it sounds like it might be body horror, and it's bugs. So that is my initial prediction. As you can tell, I didn't do an update at the gym of how much I read on the treadmill and the Stairmaster, but I'll put on the screen now how much I did on the treadmill and how much I did on the Stairmaster. It's definitely a slightly different concept than what I was expecting. I thought that they were gonna be like turning into bugs, or bugs are gonna be getting into them. Granted, I'm not all the way in yet. It's not that they are turning into bugs, it's that like, I think what happens is that people that are like down in their luck or just in a shitty place are kind of like saved by this entity that is a hive of bugs. There is like this undertone. At first I thought it was like an apocalyptic, like this is an all-encompassing, people are turning into monsters, but it feels like it's just one piece of a big like machine of other things that are going wrong in the world. So that's why it's able to be like kind of pushed to the side. Like it's not super obvious that this kind of thing is happening. So we have our main character Crane, who's a trans guy and is kind of in an abusive relationship. Like he's with an abusive partner, but they're not dating, they're fucking, and it's very weird. Because they're both in this hive thing. Like it's not like a hive mind as in like they can read each other's thoughts, at least as far as I can tell, but like they are part of something bigger that we don't know the full scheme of yet. I do like his perspective, even though it's very hard to like personally relate to some of those things. They don't speak, like they are mute although they have, like it's said several times, like they have the ability to speak, they just choose not to. And I don't know if that's because of like gender dysphoria or anything like that, but that's just the kind of setup right now. That's all. I'm really tired. My body is physically tired. That's what I get for going to the gym. If it looks a little rough, it's because I just woke up like an hour ago. But today is technically the first day of the readathon, but we're well into it. I didn't read at all. So last night I read, I'll update you, but the day before I didn't read at all. I was able to read about the same amount as I did last time of You Weren't Meant to Be Human. I got to page 144. The reason I just have this is because I'm sick of holding my Kindle up. But I read it on my Kindle again, and it's just getting really into some like pregnancy horror stuff. I forget if I mentioned that in the first check-in. Our main character, Crane, still is, I mean, if you catch what I'm saying about pregnancy and him being a trans man, you'll see where the body horror part comes in, but there's a lot of like self-hate and terrible body dysmorphia and like bodies changing. And I will say the stuff about like the hive is not as present as I thought it would be. Like, I think that's the point. I think you're supposed to think that the hive and the bug stuff is going to be the horror, but in reality it's just the body horror of what Crane is experiencing. There's a newer character who I'm very interested in. Stagger is someone that really also doesn't talk, kind of like Crane. I think they're supposed to be not a mirror on Crane, but it's definitely someone that Crane is able to relate to because Crane doesn't speak. I haven't read any more of How to Survive Camping since we last checked in, so I'm gonna put this on my desk while I'm working so that when I have my downtime that I would normally be scrolling, I'll maybe read a few pages and we'll see where we end up, because I would also like to finish this today or tomorrow. I do have some more off-screen reading I need to do for the book that I started with Wheezy. I'll be honest, that other book, I'll say it, it's House of Leaves. We didn't really like what we read at the beginning. It just wasn't our thing. I finally have a substantial update for both books. So we'll start with this one first, which I almost feel like I might try to finish tonight as well. But I got to page 222 in How to Survive Camping. I finally figured out what it is that I'm so happy about with this book. Aside from like the general vibes of a haunted, weird campground. Number one, I love campgrounds. Grew up camping. I think I've said this in other videos, but whatever. I just always loved camping. And I can visualize being on the campground in the book very easily, which means it's just so relatable, which isn't a requirement, but there's something about this book that's really connecting with me. There's like, I guess like the monster of the week, that kind of vibe, where there's always like a new thing, but it gets resolved pretty much in the episode. And that's what each of these chapters feels like. I feel like we're getting like a new thing introduced or new situation, and it just very quickly gets resolved, and then we're on to the next. There's a few overlapping like overarching storylines, but I feel like these little vignettes where I feel comfortable putting a book down, like, it's not a book where you put it down, you're like, I need to know what happens in the next chapter. It's gonna be a 4 to 5 star. Not quite sure yet. Definitely gonna be a book that I keep though, because I feel like I want to reread this book, which isn't a feeling I've had in a long time. I was at the gym. I only did treadmill today because my back is freaking hurting me. But I am 87%. I only have like 40 minutes left. So I was crying openly on the treadmill at the gym, and it was a little awkward because I was trying not to like gasp cry because I was very emotionally upsetted. I was very emotionally upset by what was happening in the book. This is just a persistent, aching, gross, upsetting book, but this one I'm fairly certain is going to be a 5-star read. I am freshly showered. Bento is about to cause a ruckus. Ma'am, what are we doing? So we have, let me flip you around. I have my Kindle set up and I have my thingamabobber. There's also technically lights on in my kitchen, which is the next room over, but we have like a curtain up, so it is pretty dark. So let's try to see how dark it is. You can kind of see me. Yeah, you can't. Even over there. So over there, let's see if I can turn up the brightness. So even with the brightness all the way up, this over here is the door. to the room. So I'm gonna stop talking because you really can't. Oh, Bender just ran and it scared me. You can kind of see me. So I'm gonna start reading. I have about 41 minutes left in the book, and there's nothing to see because it's so dark, but I will let you know when I finished it in the light. Well, I finished it. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. Yeah, 5 stars. I'm very confused. Not confused by what happened. I'm very understanding of what happened. I don't know what to say, except that was really emotionally intense. I didn't think that I would continue to cry. If you read it, it's very obviously upsetting, but it's not like the upsetting part is not what's upsetting. It's the extremes of like someone feeling like that was the thing. Like that was the only route to go. Yeah, I'm gonna go eat and try to, I don't know. I'm really at a loss for words because that was just such a abrupt. It really wasn't abrupt. Like in the scheme of things, I think how things turned out kind of made sense. We have little Miss Bento sleeping over here. I know, you're what everybody wants to see. She's like sleeping on a heating pad. That's what that light is. Now that I've had a bit more time to have like coherent thoughts about this, I wanted to kind of put them here in case what the last few clips were a bit too choppy. This kind of solidifies, it definitely solidifies my opinion that trans horror and trans body horror specifically is just so fucking impeccably written, and it makes sense. I think queer horror in general is amazing, but trans body horror is like a niche that I'm just so obsessed with, and I feel like it just is, when written well, it's just literally my favorite thing. Oh, you're so pretty. Oh my god. How can I not just love you? What's happening? There's something about certain horror movies and certain horror books that I love specifically, and it's this concept of like irreparable damage or irreparable change happening, and there's like no coming back from that. The most significant one at the beginning and like what is told in the synopsis is how he is changed by just becoming part of the hive. The hive is definitely not as omnipresent as I was anticipating. Like it's definitely like a very background character to everything else that's happening in the book. I was expecting a lot more lore surrounding like the bugs and where they came from and what they mean and what they become and what they're doing to people, and you really don't get that. So I would say, like, if you've made it this far into my video and you're like, I just want to know if I'll like this book, if you're expecting a lot of lore about the bugs, it's just not in this book. That's not what this is about. It is definitely about this trans guy's story surrounding just his body just changing, like almost like reverting back to what he was trying to escape in being born female. And so it's just like this very graphic, very intense, irreparable change that is happening to someone, and you're seeing again how the hive has changed him, and then how this new experience, this, I don't want to say it's an experience because it's just like so belittling to what happens to Crane. It's going to like eat away at this character. Like if this was a real character, because in my brain it just feels so real. It, like, everything that happens in this book is just never going, like, there's the concept of like, oh, everything changes us and like everybody changes, but like this is dramatic, altering change. I'm trying to be so vague. I mean, like, I'm sure this, not that I've finished it. Let me look and see if the synopsis actually does say anything about what happened. It does. Okay, so it was, I guess it's not a spoiler, but if you're a person that reads full synopses, then I guess the main thing in the book is not surprising. But I only read like 3/4, halfway through a synopsis because I don't want to be spoiled. At this point, I need to see if Crafting for Sinners has an audiobook, because I have it physically and I don't like reading 2 physical books at the same time. I don't think I'll be able to finish that one very quickly, so I need to have a different format so that my brain can tell the difference between the two. Oh, I do. I have it on hold, but it's not gonna be ready for like 3 weeks. That sucks. Okay. How to Survive Camping. Physically, I don't have it. I'm not gonna show it. You know what it looks like. I have that physically, and that's the one that I'm gonna go to Barnes & Noble right now and go read in like the cafe and get like a coffee or something. I think I'm like 85% through, so I'm hoping to finish that tonight. And then I mean, maybe we'll just read Crafting for Sinners physically and just deal with it. It'd be so cool if I could actually finish 3 books in a vlog. That's been a long time coming. I just very briefly want to show you what I'm wearing right now. Oh, it can't even focus on me. Let me get a little farther away. Well, are you not impressed? Jose got me this for Christmas, I think, last year or the year before. And has a little hood, and it also has a covering for my eyes so I can take a nap. Oh no, I can't tell if you can see me. It has like pockets. Oh, Bento, are you not entertained? Well, let me get into it. Oh, my knee. I finished another book. I guess we'll film like this. How to Survive Camping. Oh my god, this is not... I finished How to Survive Camping, and I'm gonna give it a 4 to 5 stars. I think part of it might be because I'm swayed by having had like such an amazing experience with You Weren't Meant to Be Human. But I do think that like the whole time I was kind of under the impression that this would probably be a 4 to 5 star. There were so many things detracting from the main overarching plot that it didn't seem like the main plot at times until like the second half or like the last quarter of the book. But I do like ultimately how things kind of shook out. I think that I'm still going to keep it and maybe have it as like a reread, which again, I don't do very often. I don't know if I'll really read You Weren't Meant to Be Human. I just want to keep it close to my soul. But it felt like a weird, cozy horror mystery paranormal thing, and it was still a really good time. I'll think about this one for quite a while as well, but it's not like all of a sudden my favorite book of the year. So not going to do any more reading today, but tomorrow we will hop into Crafting for Sinners. Fingers crossed that my Libby hold comes through quicker than 3 weeks. I'm just so confused as to how long I've been waiting for it, if 3 weeks is the current time. I've been waiting since December 28th. Now it says a 2-week hold. Maybe speaking into the universe is doing something. Well. That sounded terrifying. Let me actually set you up. It's not really... This isn't that exciting. It's exciting for me. But I was just moving over clips from my camera to the computer, and I was like, shit, I have some clips on my phone. And so I pulled up my phone. Can you see? Can you see what's available to take out of the library? Don't mind if I do. Borrow. You can't even see. You know, sometimes things align. Sometimes you're just really exhausted and things align. And turn her back on. Yay! She's there. It is technically one day after the readathon has finished, but the vlog started well before the actual readathon was starting. I want to get you one last update. I am technically going to go to the gym and attempt to read some more of this, but I started Crafting for Sinners and I just don't like it that much, which sucks because it's queer and I wanted to really enjoy it. Right now I'm about 20% in. It's about 64 pages in, which technically if this was a real book, I don't think I would have even made it past 50 pages and not liked it and continued the book. The general plot is it's about this woman, her name is Ruth, and she used to work at this craft store, which is definitely like supposed to just be Hobby Lobby. It is run by this extreme Christian-esque group. Not a lot has happened. There was a lot to go on at the beginning about Ruth and her partner Abigail, and they live in this very religious town where they want to eventually escape, and they've been trying to save up, but it's really just not working out very well because they don't make a lot of money. And then Ruth has diabetes and is constantly having to pay a lot of money for medication. This is like the entire thing that's happened so far. The only thing that I haven't talked about is the fact that, number one, there was this weird interaction with Ruth on the doorstep of her house where these two people came up and were like, hey, do you want to hear more about the creator, or calling God or something, this other name. And then Ruth was like, no, I'm good. And they gave her a pamphlet, and then they just kept staying on her porch even after she drove away, which was very odd. Now Ruth is going to the craft store to pick up yarn because she's trying to make a project and make some money for moving out. And she gets there, it's completely empty. And then a very quick, I guess, attack kind of scene happens. I just don't feel like enough is happening for being 60 pages into a book. I realized sitting down with it last night that I think part of me was hoping it would be kind of like Horror Store, which is this like horror thing, paranormal horror thing that's happening in an IKEA. And I reset my expectations when I realized it's not paranormal. And I just don't like, not enough is happening. Not enough is happening to keep my interest. However, I am going to go to the gym. I'm going to spend another hour probably reading it, which will put me about like 100 pages in. If after that session of reading it is still not interesting, I am going to DNF it. For now, this is the last clip that I'm going to film for this video. I'm going to put on the screen what we read. We did accomplish all of the regular like YouTube kind of goals. Again, I never even looked on the Instagram to see what was going on, but I did read 2 whole books, which I'm very happy for, even though it took me longer than the vlog, than the readathon was supposed to be. So yeah, that is all for now. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you sometime soon in a new video. Thank you. Bye.